What's up, Upstanders? Dr. O here again. And look, I've made it clear about what I feel specifically about Stephen A. Smith. When I say sometimes that I'm really not confused, I get confused about what's worse, the arrogance or the ignorance, the constantly talking about himself in the third person, okay, but the ignorance of just like not knowing the basic facts. This whole idea about America wants me to run for president, but he's not running. First of all, thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your honesty in terms of hey, you make too much money to be running for president. So hopefully at some point you're not going to realize that Trump is making a lot more than $400,000 a year off his presidency in the way that he's pimping it right now between himself and his family. Like you're a sports reporter, right? Can you talk about the fact that how he's negotiating golf contracts and tournaments with Live Golf and the PGA and all of these guys like from the Oval Office? Can you talk about that? That's kind of like your job, right? But so let's be real and factual about what we're talking about. You could actually make a lot more money than you're making right now if you are president of the United States. But I'm glad that you decided not to run and spare people a lot of headache. I also found it interesting that you referred to the Democrats as incompetent, selfish, and tone deaf. Did you watch the debate with Kamala and Trump? You had a lot of smoke for Biden's poor performance debate because it was a poor performance debate. But did you see what Kamala did? So, who's the one who's incompetent as it relates to the issues? Trump, right? Everything is all tariffs for Trump, right? Who's the one who's tone deaf? Who's the one who's not hearing? Well, again, tariffs. Who's the one who's lying about Zelensky and all of this other type of stuff? So you are absolutely right. If people don't care about the fact that you can be ignorant and not care about the issues and still be president, yes, you'd make a great candidate. You can absolutely do that. But to sit here and throw smoke at the Democrats, to talk about you ain't got nobody who can run right now. You ever notice the louder Stephen A. Smith gets, the wronger he is, right? Or the more wrong he is, I should say. I'm a poet. I can mess around with the language. How are you going to sit there and say Kamala better not run again? Who are you? Like, who are you to say that? Joe Biden, this was what, his third time running for president? You think that several people who ran for president before and lost, who became president later? Who cares how many times she runs? I'll tell you this, it's her decision, not yours. And then you say later she didn't lose the election, Democrats lost it for her, so she can regroup if she wants. Go for it, Vice President. That ain't your decision to make. You can't tell her what to do. And then to sit here and say like, oh, Democrats don't have anybody talking about this stuff. And then you have some, you throw a little bit of love towards Wes Moore, but you're saying you don't know if he has a national profile. He's the only black governor in the country. What bigger profile of that do you need? Latest Senator Senator Brooks, right here from Maryland. Well, he's an example of what Democrats are doing right and could be a model for the entire country and actually has the knowledge and the information. And then you're going to really sit here and tell me that the Democrats don't have anybody speaking up and challenging the Republicans? Have you heard of these representatives like Jasmine Crockett? Have you heard of Ayanna Pressley? Have you heard of Max Frost? Just because you don't want to do your research and just because you don't want to alternate your sources of where you pull information from, it doesn't mean that these things are not happening. Are the Democrats fairly impotent right now? Obviously, they don't control any branch of government. Even the Supreme Court is under Donald Trump's thumb. There's opportunities there. And in one of your interviews, you talk about, Donald Trump got a mandate. He doesn't have a mandate. He won a plurality. Yes, he won the majority of the votes that were cast. But to say mandates is when you're winning by like 55, 60%, when you're crushing everything. The House numbers shrunk. Senate numbers grew a little bit. Yes, but to say a mandate doesn't. And this idea that Americans want me, yeah, we believe the polls about Hillary Clinton too, and what she was going to do as it relates to Trump. So please, man, don't come here with TMZ and Newsweek and throw out, something Hakeem Jeffries may have said and this and all this other time to show why the people want you. We don't want you for president. We don't. You know what we want in this country? We want to return to values and normalcy. And we could talk all day about the problems the Democrats had in their campaign. I'm here for that. I've been doing that. I didn't need to wait for Stephen A. Smith to say something before we recognize that. But Democrats lose elections, Republicans lose elections. We are an impatient society, and people are very rarely going to give people 4 years to do something right again. But I can run down a list of so many candidates. Gretchen Whitmer, Gavin Newsom, Wes Moore. Like, these aren't people, whether you like them or not, these are strong, viable candidates for 2028. and assuming that people don't just cave into this country like people are doing now and let Trump actually become a king, we may not even be talking about elections in 2028. And you know what also makes this worse? The fact that CNN would actually have a whole segment on this. And people on the panel talking about, oh, I don't think it's a problem Stephen A runs for president. It could be interesting. And yeah, sure. Look, Stephen A got the qualifications. You got to be a U.S. citizen and be 35 years old and over. But like, that's it. For y'all to be sitting there and actually talk about like qualifications don't matter anymore, and not really have a conversation about all of the other things that helped Trump become president, like, or what, voter suppression, like all, those types of laws that have affected. And you can look at people who've done this research. We've talked about it on Roland Martin Unfiltered about how many votes were lost because of things like voter suppression. Like, for real. Can we have conversations about Elon Musk offering people millions of dollars to basically go out and vote for Trump? Like, we need to have larger conversations about the whole apparatus. And we need to have conversations about how to get the non-voter. And yes, we need to get conversations going about how to bring in some of those Republicans who are getting hard hit right now because they weren't going to be there for Kamala because they thought they thought they were doing just fine. But when they start losing education benefits, for their kids and cancer research and all of that other type of stuff, there's opportunities there to build coalitions like Fred Hampton was doing. And people have disagreed with me on this, acting like I'm saying we got to be these people's friends. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we got to build coalitions. You don't got to like everybody who votes on the same page as you. So the fact of the matter is that just like Donald Trump, Stephen A. Smith would be the perfect president for the type of environment that we're in. This me first culture, this idea that I don't really care about anyone else, I'm going to do me, the lies about, I'm going to speak for these people, but then actually do the opposite, the actual reverse. Like that type of celebrity climate and all of that, y'all are perfect for that. But what my hope is that we're going to have a revolution of intellect in this country. We're going to have a revolution of facts mattering in this country. We're going to have a revolution of having people lead who are actually committed to actual service and not just lining their pockets. And I believe that even if many of these Republican folks don't come around, I believe that many of the non-voters will, if we can get a candidate that can really resonate with them. And I believe that there are many who will do that, including Kamala Harris, who won't have just 3 months to run and won't be saddled with having to toe the line and represent the agenda of the Biden administration. Why not? Why not give it a shot? And people can have conversations about she lost because of that. She lost because she tried to get more Republicans. She lost because of God's of Israel and all that other type of stuff. But I will say this. For y'all say that Democrats had the wrong message about running on the end of democracy, I'm seeing democracy end. And for y'all saying that, oh, Democrats need to have somebody, and this is kind of like, I don't know if this is sexist or racist or both, but to have people say like, oh, we need somebody who can talk like a normal person to voters. Kamala Harris was very normal. She was sounding like a very normal person. And just like Hillary Clinton, unfortunately, in this non-intellectual society where people go online looking for affirmation instead of information, she was over-prepared, as most women have to do in everything that they do because people second-guess them. She spoke like, I never had to go look in the dictionary for anything Kamala Harris said. You know what I'm saying? So, come on. And then you're going to sit here and say that she didn't have a policy for housing. Over 8,000 houses on the market right now in D.C. with what Trump's doing right now. What was his policy for housing? Tariffs. This guy got concepts and plans on everything. So this idea, look, that, she didn't speak to the people. She didn't have issues for, kitchen table issues. Literally, these farmers are online crying and begging for programs to be restored to help them that the Biden-Harris administration passed, that she was going to continue. So let's be really careful with the smoke that we have for Kamala. Look, if people didn't like her, didn't vote for her for this and that, fine. But we're moving forward now. And the fact that people would actually think that somebody like a Stephen A. Smith, somebody like The Rock, could make a good president of the United States shows how far we have declined as a society. And it's not those people's fault, those potential candidates' fault. It's our fault. It's our fault for not teaching history in schools. And we ain't even got to talk about removing Black history. I'm just talking about history, period, which is why people were going up online after Trump won, looking up what's an oligarchy, looking up how can I retake my vote back, looking up like how Congress actually works, because people either forgot or just didn't even know. Those are the bigger issues. And I believe that as we go into the midterms, we can actually do the work to get people to see the light. And if people just want to focus on the non voter, fine. Whatever it is, we can do that. What can we have the conversation about the need to build a bigger media infrastructure? Because you also have to mention the fact that Fox and OANN and all of these guys, they are also the media wing of the Republican Party and reach more people. Can we talk about that? Whereas news sources like MSNBC and stuff are actually committed to fact-based journalism in a country where facts haven't fully mattered for about 9 years now. So we got to build another type of ecosystem. When I see people like what they're doing, Republicans Against Trump and all these other organizations, the Lincoln Project, a lot of these other ones, those types of things have to be built to expose people to the truth, to expose people to the disinformation and misinformation that they're receiving. That's where we need to be going. And Stephen A., you should be calling for that. But don't sit here and talk about Democrats ain't got no money when you don't know nothing about the Democratic Party on that level. Everybody got smoke after something's done, right? But the and let me just say, like, I'll just say this in closing. Stephen A. Smith was like, you told a line, we try to toe the line. I must be hard on things, being on the fence like that. But the fact of the matter is, these Republicans, they don't respect you, and they're just gonna use you, and you're gonna go down the late Joe Madison, who you knew better than I, Dr. Madison, talked about this all the time. They're just going to throw you away as soon as you no longer meet their needs. Diamond and Silk, Leo 2.0, Candace Owens. So I think that's probably why you toe the line, because you kind of realize that that's kind of the case. You got to kind of keep toes dipped in different places, because they're only going to use you as long as they need you to be the black friend. So look, come with your critiques, but base it in some facts. Come with your critiques, but base it in some type of research. Like, just do better. Just do better. You got a powerful voice, and yes, a lot of people respect you for your tell it like it is attitude, your no nonsense attitude. But you can tell it like it is and be wrong. You can have a no nonsense attitude and still spit nonsense. And if you would just dedicate like 1/10 of the smoke that you're throwing towards Democrats to what Trump's actually doing right now. I notice whenever you talk about Trump, you always say, and people apparently feel like he's doing this, and people apparently feel like Musk is doing this, but you say you want to find out what Musk is finding out, though, right? But you never say that directly about him. You scared? But you scared? Like, is that what's going on? Scared to critique the man directly? And you said some things, here and there, critique, but the actual thing he's doing now, generally speaking, is crickets from you. Kind of like the Republican Party. So, hey, my hope is that when you know better, you do better, but I'm not fully convinced you actually want to do better by people. You kind of want to have this, I was right, look at this, I was wrong, but or they were wrong with no facts, and then you completely crapping on a party, that doesn't have the pulpit right now, but I'm firmly convinced can win again, particularly after seeing what Trump has just done in the first 30 days. When people see what's happening to their food, their food supply, when they see what's happening to their vaccines. Do you have anything to say about the fact that Trump just put in a human health, a secretary of health, right, who said that black people should get less doses of vaccines? You got any problems with that? Who I believe, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, also said something about like black kids who are, being disruptive could be like reparented, like get new parents or some of the things I've seen as it relates to that. Or who said, oh, black kids can just deal with racism if they just fortify themselves like the Avengers. He actually said that and talked about the challenges he grew up with. If I can deal with it, black kids can deal with it, but you didn't deal with it, RFK, you turned to drugs. You got any smoke for that, Stephen A. Smith? I'm waiting, but I ain't holding my breath. Come on, man, do better. CNN, do better. This ain't a joke. This is not a joke. This is real, and real lives are on the line right here in our state. And if y'all are going to do that, all of y'all continue to be part of the problem as opposed to part of the solution. America's selfishness, America's egocentrism, and the decline of intellectual values in this country is why we are where we are today. Who's going to take the weight, and who's going to work to make that change? I hope it's y'all watching. Let's do this together. I'm here for it. Peace.